Lionel Messi might be making all the MLS headlines in 2023, but would you believe it if I told you there was another South American player who dominated the American League when Messi was still in diapers? No disrespect to the GOAT, but I'm sure even he would agree that Carlos Valderrama was the first MLS superstar. So who exactly is Valderrama, and what made him so special? Well, the man nicknamed LPB was a Colombian footballer who played for several teams across Colombia, Europe, and of course the MLS. LPB, which means the kid, was born on the 2nd of September 1961, and he would go on to become one of the greatest ever to do it. Valderrama played as an attacking midfielder, and his out-of-this-world creativity made him a standout figure in any team he played for. Many have called him the greatest ever Colombian player, and in 2010, Pelé, who is also one of the GOATs, listed him in the FIFA 100 greatest living players. That says a great deal about just how awesome Valderrama was as a player. But it wasn't just his technical skills and pinpoint passing that made him so special. He had the looks too. Who could miss his bright yellow afro and his pretty obvious moustache? His size was also a factor that helped distinguish him from the pack. Not that he was the biggest man on the pitch, it's just that no player of equal size could do what LPB was doing with the ball. So good was Valderrama that he was named the South American Footballer of the Year in 1987 and 1993. Keep in mind that in between this time, a certain Diego Maradona was still actively playing soccer. So for Valderrama to win such a prestigious award ahead of the Argentine legend means he was a total badass with the ball at his feet. Here's a piece of information that will blow your mind. Did you know that Valderrama has the 5th highest assists in the history of national team football? Did you also know that he has the 12th highest assists overall, football clubs included? Well, now you know, and so did World Soccer magazine, which is why they named him among the top 100 players of the 20th century. These accolades are all well deserved, as Valderrama represented Colombia between 1985 and 1998, playing 111 times in total, including as many as 3 World Cups and 5 Copa America appearances. He's the second most capped player in Colombia's history, just behind another legendary figure, David Ospina. Now 1996 had arrived, and with all this star power and accomplishments under his belt, Valderrama, who was already a popular face in South American and European football, decided it was time to take his skills elsewhere. For a player as creative and as daring as LPB, where better to go than the MLS? Yes, the Colombian legend took arguably the biggest risk of his career by opting to play for the widely unknown Tampa Bay Mutiny in the USA. But why do I call this a risk? Well, at the time, the MLS had just been formed. It was its very first season and no one gave a crap about watching it. However, Valderrama thought being a part of its founding players wouldn't be such a bad idea. To his credit, it was a risk that paid off quite nicely as he became an instant star and one of the most beloved figures in the league. Yeah, Valderrama was the very first face of the MLS. He was also the first player to make the league worth watching. Now, if you understand how much football fans all over the world were glued to the English Premier League and the Italian Serie A during the mid-90s, you would understand how big of a deal Valderrama's presence in the US was. Thankfully, his first season in the MLS and with Tampa Bay Mutiny ended with success, as he led them to win the first ever Supporters' Shield Cup. Valderrama also inspired Tampa to win the award for team with the best regular season record. But it didn't stop there, as LPB went on to win the very first MLS Most Valuable Player award, thanks to his 4 goals and a whopping 17 assists in the regular season. So, after spending the 1996 to 97 season with Tampa Bay, LPB made his mark at the club, and it was time for yet another challenge. He had a brief loan spell at Deportivo Cali in Colombia, but it was obvious that he was missing life in the MLS. 1998 came, and Valderrama was back in the US to play for another MLS side, Miami Fusion. He stayed there for 2 seasons and continued to dazzle the fans with his close ball control, superb dribbling, and accurate passing. Fast forward to 2000, and LPB was back in the club where his MLS journey began. Yes, the Colombian legend felt he still had a little bit of football left in him to serve Tampa for a few more seasons. And even though these were the closing stages of his career, it proved to be the most memorable. Would you believe that by the year 2000, Valderrama had become such a godlike figure in the MLS that trademarked LPB wigs were being sold as merchandise in the Tampa Bay Mutiny Stadium, as well as on the streets? Talk about star power. This was the very first time in MLS history that a player would have his likeness sold in shops, and you could see thousands of Tampa fans wearing these wigs during home and away matches in admiration of their idol. Now, you can always trust LPB to reward the fans with a treat, and he did just that by delivering as many as 26 assists in his first season back with Tampa. What makes this such a big deal is that this was the first and only time in MLS history that a player would record over 20 assists in a single season. The record still stands today, and the MLS itself has stated that LPB's record would be impossible to break. Even the great Lionel Messi might have doubts about attempting to break this one. Moving on to 2001, Valderrama left Tampa for the second time to join yet another MLS side, the Colorado Rapids. He played a full season for the Rapids before hanging up his boots for good in 2002. By this time, Valderrama had played a total of 6 years in the MLS, making an astonishing 175 appearances in the process. Now, being that he prefers to pass the ball than go for glory himself, Valderrama didn't bang in that many goals in the MLS. He only managed to score 16 goals in total, but his 114 assists is nothing short of phenomenal. In the MLS, he is currently the 4th all-time highest in assists, which is why his induction into the MLS all-time best 11 comes as no surprise. Valderrama was truly one of the greatest. Sure, he was always described as the traditional number 10 due to how well he sets up his teammates, but he didn't shy away from defensive duties either. He was known to fall back and help his backline sniff out opposition attacks, and his ability to convert every ball won into a quick offensive play was out of this world. But what I would say that what the fans loved most about LPB was his selfishness. He didn't care much about having his name on the scoreboard, rather, he was more interested in creating the chances for his teammates to score. His coaches and colleagues loved him for this, as he defined what team play was really all about. His ability to read runs and offside traps meant that his forward players would be well fed with passes. His technique and delicate touches also allowed him to throw the right weight behind every ball. His range of passing was awesome too, as he could drop the short 2-yard through balls or the long but accurate 30-yard lobs. So, with all this skill, flair, and his unmistakable looks, Carlos LPB Valderrama was one of the brightest figures in the MLS right from when the league started in 1996 to when he retired in 2002. Valderrama did play one final match after his retirement, which was a testimonial in 2004 to celebrate his illustrious career. You wouldn't believe the caliber of players to honour his invitation. There was Enzo Francescoli, Ivan Zamorano, Jose Luis Jaliver, and the iconic Diego Maradona. More honours kept coming LPB's way after retirement, as a 22-foot bronze statue of himself was built outside the Estadio Eduardo Santos in Santa Marta, Colombia. The South American legend has also been featured in several EA Sports FIFA video games, and he currently works as a broadcaster and soccer media personality. Of course, the MLS has attracted a multitude of stars after the Valderrama era. These include Zlatan Ibrahimovic, David Beckham, and Lionel Messi. But while they are all blessed with great football talent, they don't have the unique, catchy looks of Valderrama. They certainly can't sell LPB wigs either. So guys, what do you think of the MLS legend, Carlos LPB Valderrama? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed watching this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.